Welcome back into Sports Moments Betting Podcast, college football, every game on the board, segment 2 with Joe Raineri. Joe, welcome into the pod. How are you?
Going on, man. Getting to be, wow, I don't know. What are we, week 10 already in the college football season? It's crazy.
It is crazy, man, and I don't like to think it's already over, but it's a crazy time of year. College basketball starting next week, man, so great time to be a sports bettor, and we'll get after it here. Top of the card, or actually middle of the card, excuse me. Numbers 341, 342, Virginia Tech at Notre Dame. We got the Irish off of a big loss. I lost with them, but hopefully they bounce back. 17.5 here they're laying against the Hokies. 57.5 the total in South Bend.
Yeah, Notre Dame, like you said, coming off of that upsetting loss there. Kind of, what do you do now? Where do you go from here? You lost to Georgia, you lost to Michigan. There's the playoffs is out of the question, and for Notre Dame, you've got to ask what the hell is left. For Virginia Tech, started off 2-2. They've rattled off a couple of victories since. Listen, this matchup last year was Notre Dame all day, every day. You got to think that Notre Dame is going to be. You know, Brian Kelly's a good coach. He's not going to let these guys wallow in misery there. Finishing 10-2 in a year is still pretty damn good, playing on a New Year's bowl game. So I would anticipate that they hop on the road here and they take out their frustrations on this Virginia Tech team. Actually, they're home. I would think that Virginia Tech's going to be in for a long afternoon, so to speak. I'll take Notre Dame all day here.
All right, Joe, let's head out west. We got a good one in the Pac-12. We got Oregon at USC in the Coliseum, 62 the total. Ducks laying 4 in the hook on the road.
Yeah, listen, I mean, both of these teams are kind of in very unique spots, right? Oregon is hoping that they can win out and maybe get a little bit of help. They did, of course, with Oklahoma losing last week. But the defense, which was so good for so long for Oregon, is slowly but surely starting to – they're starting to go away. They're starting to get beat a little more. I like the Slovis kid from USC. He's starting to read his progressions. He's starting to get better. They have wide receivers there at USC that will, without a doubt, be playing on Sundays here in the near future. That's a tough place to play heading into the Coliseum if you are Oregon. I don't trust the defense as much as I did. I do think there are going to be some points in this game. So I believe I'm going to lean USC here, and you know what? Also like the over in this game.
And, Joe, you're right. USC is a different team at home in the Coliseum. I want to ask you a question here with the Pac-12. They got Oregon 1 loss, Utah 1 loss. You got to think that if the Pac-12 had its way, the Pac-12 championship game would be those two with 1 loss for a chance to get into the playoff, a play-in game, so to speak. Do you put anything into the handicap that's what the Pac-12 wants, so you want to bet that way with Oregon and Utah heading into the end of the season here?
It's such a crapshoot, though, again, because you just don't know. I mean, Utah, you got to think Utah and Oregon are the class of the Pac-12. You got to figure that's what they want. One of those two teams. Can't have them both, obviously. So one of those two teams you would love to be able to represent in some sort of playoff, and anything can happen. But I really do think we're looking at 2 SEC teams here in the playoffs this year, guys, when you look down to it. I think the Pac-12, and I just don't see a path outside of craziness for Oklahoma to get themselves back into the conversation either.
All right, Joe, we got 345, 346 Colorado at UCLA. The Bruins laying 6.5 or 7 in the Rose Bowl. 64.5 the total here, Joe.
Yeah, I would not expect a lot of defense here, guys. Just saying that right now. Chip Kelly seems to have figured out the right formula, the right recipe there. Really starting to get these kids to play, put up some points. The defense has been better for Chip Kelly, but again, the problem with Colorado is that they got Montez, they got some guys that can play offense. They got nobody who's playing defense, which is crazy to me since they've got a new head coach there whose specialty is defense, but just not this year. Wait to see a couple of years. Just give me all the points in the world in this game. I'm going the over in it.
We got the Sunflower Showdown, I believe it's called, up next. Kansas State versus Kansas. This one in Lawrence. Kansas State laying about 6, maybe 6.5 here on the road, 54.5 here. Kansas, they're alive now under the Mad Hatter. Joe, what are you thinking here?
That's it. Les going to town over here. Another one of these games, guys, where Jayhawks averaging, giving up 32 points a game. They've actually dropped, I think, 37 points in a couple of games. And the Wildcats, what can you say, man? At home, the huge upset over Oklahoma. They just scored 48. The over is 7-2 in the last 9 meetings between these two teams in Kansas. Give me the over, guys. No defense in this one. More offense. Gimme.
All right, Joe. We got Sunbelt action up next. Texas State, the Bobcats heading to Lafayette, taking on ULL here. 22.5. The Raging Cajuns laying at home. 55.5 the total.
This has been a very one-sided, matchup here. Louisiana's dominated. I think they've covered each of the last 6. I don't see anything from these two teams that tells me that is going to change. The Raging Cajuns, I do think, and they've been actually really good against lesser competition. They've covered 4 of the last 6 and 7 of 8 overall with teams with losing records. So I think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this one for Louisiana. I'm figuring somewhere around that 41-17 mark. So, yeah, lay the points. I got no problem with that. Louisiana takes this one.
Joe, we got Vanderbilt at South Carolina up next. SEC East matchup here. Gamecocks laying 15.5 in Columbia, 51 the total.
Yeah, well, listen, if you're Vanderbilt, you got to hope and pray that you win. So maybe they won't continue to talk to Jeff Fisher as a possible new head coach there for Vanderbilt. Please. But truth is, I just don't see it happening here. I do like, though, South Carolina, the biggest problem with them, Helinski's come back. He hasn't thrown an interception now in 4 games. He's looked good. He is good. The problem is South Carolina's defense has really started to go the other way under Will Muschamp. So I don't know that they'll be able to fix what ails them in enough time there, but I do anticipate that, yeah, both of these teams can put some points up, and I would anticipate the over is probably the best play on the board there.
All right, let's head to some action here. Northern Illinois at Central Michigan. We got UNI laying 1 in the hook on the road, 50.5 the total.
Yeah, I watched the Chippewas give a game away last week, and ball security, bit of an issue there, and I can guarantee you that is not going to be an issue this week. Central Michigan, been tough at home, all season long, right? They've covered all 4 of their games at home. The Huskies, they've been terrible when playing at Central Michigan over the last few years. It has not been good. They're 1-4 on the road this season. I think the Chippewas are itching to get back on the in the W column over there after that loss at Buffalo. Give me Central Michigan to win and cover this game.
Joe, we got Marshall at Rice up next in Conference USA action. And this Thundering Herd team, man, I have them as a bet on. Now, do I want to lay 10 in the hook on the road? I don't know. 47 the total here in Houston.
Yeah, they got a little bit of everything going on here. They got some defense. They got some offense. They held on last week there barely. But the truth of the matter is, Rice, that offense just simply isn't good enough to be taking down the Thundering Herd in any way, shape, or form. So Rice only averages about 277, 78 yards a game. I think this will be a big opportunity for Marshall to be able to take care of business there. One of these first half type situations where, they'll get out into a lead. They'll maintain 35-14, somewhere in that. I think Marshall wins this game, and I just don't think Rice has enough to keep it that competitive. So, yeah, I'll lay the number.
All right, Mountain West up next. UNLV at Colorado State. We got 65.5 the total, with the Running Rebels catching 9 on the highway.
This could be a fun game. I mean, Colorado State is averaging 473, 74 points, yards rather per game. UNLV defense also giving up somewhere around 426 yards per game. So I think Colorado State, they got a very, very good passing attack over there. I think they're going to put up a lot of points I think there's a 50-burger out there waiting to be happened for them if they can get the ball enough. So defense isn't great, but Colorado State, I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one. Either look the over or look for Colorado State to take it.
Joe, we got possibly the game of the weekend here. Definitely the game of the segment. SMU at Memphis, 72.5 the total in the Liberty Bowl. We got Memphis laying 5.5 or 6 here, Joe. And this one's going to have a lot to say in the New Year's Six Bowl. Which team goes there? We got SMU. What undefeated? Memphis only one loss. This is a big one in Memphis on Saturday.
Yeah, listen, I do think that obviously this is about two teams who can play some offense, two quarterbacks that are really, really good. And SMU, well, it's hard to argue with the record with what they've done. Memphis has a couple of games this year has tended to maybe shoot themselves in the foot. And I haven't seen that from SMU yet. I really don't. So when it comes down to it, give me Buechele, give me him to make a big play when they need it. I think SMU continues to roll here. Memphis will turn the ball over. They will do something stupid at some point in the game. They've done it already a handful of times this year in games, so I don't see that stopping now. They're their own worst enemy. Give me SMU.
All right, we're talking with Joe Raineri at Joe Raineri on Twitter. 57% over the last month. Had a heck of a day on Sunday in the NFL, so having good stuff in college and the NFL. And guys, we got a special coupon code here. Joe69 at checkout for a 7-day all-access package for less than $10 a day. That's a big discount there at the website, sportsmemo.com. Joe Raineri with the coupon code Joe69. That's his first name, Joe, his favorite number at the end. And you will get his 7-day all-access package.
That's right. Can't go wrong.
$10 a day. Joe69 is the coupon code there. Joe, next game up, we got Texas, San Antonio at Texas A&M. Battle of Texas here. But the Aggies laying near 40 points here, seeing 38.5 or 39 in College Station. 53 the total here, Joe.
Yeah, and I don't think that's enough here. Kellen Mond, he was 17 of 23, 234 against I put up 49 points, I believe it was, against Mississippi State here. He was sacked 16 times the week before. Tough kid, Jimbo. It is what it is. A little disappointing for Texas A&M this year and Jimbo Fisher, but I think they're going to put up some points in this game. I think both teams are actually going to have their share of points. I think it's too low the number. It's I believe the over is 4-0, and the Aggies last 4 at home, 6-2 in their last 8 after they scored at least 40 points the week before. I think they do it again this week. I think they might have you're not going to need a lot from Texas San Antonio to be able to cover the over. Go with the over in this game.
Yeah, it's in the low 50s here. 53.5. I kind of agree with you for a lot of points there in College Station on Saturday. We got the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy battle for it anyway. Army at Air Force here. We got the Air Force Academy laying 15.5, seeing 14.5 as well. So a full point in difference depending where you're shopping. 45.5 the total here, Joe.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the over-under on the amount of passes in this game is going to be. Is it 2? I'm not even sure, really. You're not going to don't expect a whole lot of air raid offense happening in this one, guys. This is going to be ground and pound for sure. But I can't argue. There's something wrong with Army this year. They were supposed to be better than they were. The defense has been a letdown a little bit this year, and Air Force just continues to roll. And having watched both of these teams, bet on both of these teams all year, I do think Air Force is the better team, and Air Force will go ahead and win this game. They will take this trophy here. They're just the better team this year, period.
All right, Joe, we got one game left. We're going to head out to the Pac-12, and that's one game left in this segment. Then we'll bring on Robbie Vino later tonight and finish off the card here in college football. This is the Every Game on the Board podcast. You can watch on sportsmemo.com, the podcast, or if you want to put faces with the voice, you can always watch on YouTube. We simulcast it and post it there as well, the Apple iTunes podcast app as well. So we got Pac-12 action here, Joe. Oregon State at Arizona. We got Arizona bear down here, 5.5 at home, 72.5 the total.
I just haven't seen anything from either of these two teams from a defensive perspective to think, wow, these defenses are going to show up here. It's going to be a tough day. Yeah, no. I've seen both of these teams score a boatload of points, and both of them can put up a whole lot of points. To me, both of these teams are going to get 30 points easily, so maybe even 40 points. Don't expect defense. Expect scoring. Don't be afraid of a big number. It should be a big number. I don't think it's going to be a big enough number. Take the over in this game.
All right, Joe Raineri. He's Joe Raineri on Twitter. And guys, remember the coupon code Joe69 at checkout for a 7-day all-access package at sportsmemo.com. You'll get every play and every sport he's handicapping for less than $10 a day. That's Joe69 at checkout for a 7-day all-access package. Joe, is there anything you wanted to throw out there to the listeners before we shut this down?
Hit us up on Twitter, guys, at Joe Raineri. Always there, putting up plays, information, always good stuff. But best of luck no matter what you decide to do this weekend.
Absolutely. Follow him on Twitter at Joe Raineri, myself at Drew Martin Betts. Always love to interact. Whatever you want to argue about, whatever you heard on the podcast, feel free to reach out, guys. We'll be right back with Robbie Vino.